Welcome to the Korea Pro Podcast, your weekly guide to understanding the most pressing and complicated developments shaping South Korea. We're your hosts, Jeongmin Kim,
John Lee,
and Joon Ha Park of Korea Pro.
Go beyond headlines as we explain not just what happened, but also what really matters and why it matters.
If you monitor South Korea for work or just trying to keep up, you're in the right place.
This is the Korea Pro Podcast. Hi, my name is Jeongmin Kim. I'm Executive Director of Korea Risk Group. Korea Risk Group produces NK News, NK Pro, and Korea Pro. And the Seoul Circuit series is the evening event under Korea Pro. We try to host something unique, topic-wise and also venue-wise, because usually if you're in Seoul and if you're networking, it's usually Hyatt or Marriott or Four Seasons or whatever. But we try to bring you to more unique places and allow, platform where we gather, people that you usually cannot really meet in chamber discussions and whatnot. So that's the Seoul Circuit, and today it's held once a month, and the topic is quite specific today. It's about brand tech startup. And just before I start, I wanted to give shout out to our team. We have Joon Ha Park, correspondent at Korea Pro. They're working as a photographer tonight. He's a journalist though, he's not a photographer. Lena Park here, she's events and communications manager, also writes for Korea Pro. We have Joo-han Kim there under Korea Risk Group NK News. Oh, he stood up, okay. And he's busy covering a lot of inter-Korean related stuff and security related stuff ahead of the election. I cover South Korean military and politics, but also cover society as well. That's why I'm here. Shadow Carol here, Korea Risk Group CEO. Did I miss anyone? Where's Youngju? Okay, Youngju's here. So this is our team, and we usually do a lot of hard security topics when we do the monthly morning briefing on domestic politics or military, nuclear power, or macroeconomic issues, basically. But we wanted to bring more attention to underreported aspects of South Korea and exploring topics that other legacy media do not really do all that much. And today, it's about startup, and Keon Jun's here to talk about it. It also touches on a lot of topics that we discussed before, how young South Koreans navigate the slow growth in South Korea, basically, and what kind of emerging industries that we have that are less known to some of the older generations here, might I just suggest, on online, like new emerging industries online. And I'm very happy to have Keon Jun Lee as our speaker today. We actually go way back.
Yeah.
We were college kids when we visited Hong Kong to see how international companies hire and work. And here we are now, and you're the CEO of a startup, and I'm doing this and hosting you. I'm very happy to have Keon Jun here. I also have I have a soft spot for this topic. I also co-founded a startup that tanked a decade ago when I was in my 20s, and Korea Risk Group as well. We have a startup roots. Chad started this in the basement. Your parents' basement, but just a couple of people who were writing for a blog at the time. And moving on to the topic today, we will discuss what it's like to start a startup and continue building on it in South Korea, and what kind of challenges the startup owners have in scaling in Korea's very fast-paced consumer market, and how his team built the platform now used by thousands of brands and creators. Bio, Keon Jun, this is so awkward when saying it like this. Keon Jun is the co-founder and CEO of Brandazine. It is a PR tech platform launched in 2020 that connects fashion and beauty brands in South Korea with content creators, which is a big emerging market right now. And he has, this is a blue ocean, actually, it was quite new at the time. He has built a network of over 500 brands and 5,000 creators across South Korea and abroad. And he was selected for, this is a fancy part. He was selected for Forbes Asia's 30 under 30 in 2023. Am I too late? Is there 40 under 40? No? Okay. 30 under 30 in 2023, and is an alum of Y Combinator's Winter 2022 batch. So this is a fancy version of your bio, Keon Jun. Can you do like your down-to-earth sort of version to introduce yourself a little bit?
Okay, thank you for the introduction, Jeongmin. So my startup, Brandazine, is not as fancy as the bio that you. It's still very tiny, but try to strive to be, greater company. It's been 6 years since I founded this company. And then, as you said, we're a creative content production company, service platform to serve Korean fashion and beauty brands. We actually launched the Japanese entity last month, and we're thank you. And yeah, we're expanding to Japan with our Korean cosmetic brands and fashion brands into Japanese market. We have 500 brands and 5,000 creators network, and we're creating about 20,000 content every month that goes into Bujinsa, Instagram, or TikTok, or Twitter. So we're actually
X, you mean?
oh, X, yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, and yeah, that's what we're doing.
Thank you. A little bit more about you. Were you like born here? Were you raised here?
Yeah, I was born here. I was born in Busan, actually, and I moved around because my dad was an engineer. So, and I think my turning point was actually my dad went to Paris, France, for his job. He was a nuclear engineer, so that's why he went there. And
Oh,
then
we should invite your dad next time.
he's retired.
Oh, so even better.
Yeah. And I think that's where I got the sort of sense of taste, the culture. And at the same time, since my dad was an engineer, I got to know about this, have this engineering mindset. I think that kind of connected me to run a tech startup and, brand, also with the brand and creators. Because in Paris, I got to know my friends were like, there are some photographers, like fashion designers, they pursue like various jobs, and I kind of like got to know about this field. And then so I went to same, Yonsei University. I studied economics, but I didn't quite like it. So I always like went out, try to do something, try to build something, but never worked. So in despair, I went to army, just like usual, kids in Korea. And luckily enough, I was a French translator, interpreter. So I got to go to Cyber Command, where there's like a bunch of hackers who didn't even go to college, but really good at, coding and all that. So I got to kind of like I realized, oh, okay, with these guys, I can make something, I can build something real. So after army, I decided not to go back to school. I started to
I actually didn't know that. So you didn't finish school.
No. So
Pretty classic was like, very successful entrepreneur. Check.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, ever since that was like 2019, and I did my first startup. It failed, obviously, didn't work. And then I tried again. I pivoted, and then this is my actually second startup. And yeah, here I am.
Okay, that's fascinating, and it's a good leeway into my first question. This is actually a very unique market, lesser known to people who are more, familiar with conglomerates and manufacturing industry in South Korea and so on and so forth. So let's start with that personal journey part. In past Seoul circuits in the past year or so, a lot of our audiences, they were curious to know about more young generation decision, but they make career choices because of, unemployment issues and, the education pressures and the credit, your CV, resume, and everything. A lot of Korean graduates, like some dropouts as well, feel pressured to follow the established career paths into these sort of certifications. What motivated you actually to start a startup? Not like unlike your peers that I understand from economics major, a lot of them go into CFA, CPA, whatever certificate that they can go for in consulting companies as well.
Yeah, I actually did pursue that kind of career. I try to do some interns at the private equity firm or consulting firm, just like other kids in economics. But I just realized that, so maybe like back in the days in Korea, that kind of career path like guaranteed you a bright future.
Like stable life.
Yeah, stable life, and you can buy actually a house in Gangnam and
Your father when you're 29
Yeah.
and whatever.
And then I just realized like this is not possible in my generation anymore. So that's when I realized, and also there were too many older generation that kind of not very inspiring to me. Because
in terms of their work, like what they do.
Yeah, and I imagine like, oh, if I work here for like 10 plus years, then I'll be just like them. And then it's not the future that I wanted to have. So I wanted to have more autonomy at the time. And yeah, so that's why I think I didn't go.
So that's fascinating. And not, I know that not many people actually go down that route, but how did you find your team? Aside from the Cyber Command guy, it's actually very difficult to find like-minded people when you do a startup. Chad would know. And you, like, how did you find them? Like, what kind of networking did you do when you're finding the right person for that show?
So obviously, I started with, so they say like when you first fund a company, they're like, you need like three F's: family, friends, and fools. So exactly, I didn't have my family, my members, as a member, but I had my friends and fools, which are my friends. We were actually very,
Make this off record so they don't hear this, but
yeah.
fools and friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the friends of mine from my high school also didn't know what to do, lost, in career path after army. So I just, called them up, every single of my friend, and was just like, play around. So that's how I started first. And then, so because we needed someone who can actually share the vision, but from my college, like people were too career driven. So,
They are, yeah, I
Yeah.
know, yeah, they
and
are.
they wanted to have either, go to like consulting IB or, banking or
Right, I said, or.
yeah, or have a government, what do you call that, exam? Like,
Oh, yeah, CFA.
yeah, CFA, whatever. It was impossible for me to find the right person who can share the dreams and visions and can be fools together. So that's high school friends were kind of like, my target at the time. So two of my high school, and one is actually from my, college, from student council. So those are the co-founders. And then after that, we need a tech guy because we didn't know, so I called up my
Hacker.
comrades, yeah, from my army. So they're there. And then also I was very ardent user of, what do you call that? Clubhouse during COVID. I don't know if you guys know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just going around like random rooms, and then I found a guy who made sort of like fashion platform in his college years, but working as a machine learning ops in a Coupang. So I thought this is the guy. So I asked him like, oh, we should have like dinner.
Bored and competent fools who can share the vision, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So I asked him for dinner, and then, we met up, but so he was about to get married. So there was a huge risk for him. So I said, okay, after you get married, let's do this because of, So after 3 months, I went to his wedding as well, and then
To ensure that the bride is persuaded.
yes. And then he joined, and he's now our tech co-founder. Yeah, I think just various, channels and routes that.
I see. That is fascinating. I hope I can host them next time as well. And you just mentioned COVID, so I wanted to touch on that just a little bit. So your startup already started during COVID, or was that after COVID?
Actually, 4 months after I founded, COVID came.
Oh,
So-
no. So was there any impact for your company from the COVID related?
COVID was actually really good for us because I think thanks to COVID, I think we were still alive because first of all, there was a huge digital transformation, especially in this media. So back in the days, people were sort of reading magazines or watch like TV show to get the information about fashion.
Right, during quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not
Not during
quarantine,
quarantine.
before
Before,
quarantine,
yeah.
there is a more mass media based media. But after COVID, there was a huge digital transformation. So all the marketing budget moved to Instagram and the social media, YouTube, because people just watch more YouTube and
Binge watch everything.
yeah. So the portion of time their spending, on social media increased just drastically.
Which is a business opportunity for you guys.
Exactly. Back in the days, most of the marketing was through celebrities in Korea. 연예인 marketing was like just the only channel that all these fashion or beauty brands went to.
Define celebrity, like
Like-
the actors or
Yeah.
singers.
Yeah, like 연예인.
연예인.
Yeah. Or part of this like huge agencies, right? But it's the people's eyes moved to the more individuals, right? Influencers, like
Influencers.
creators, right? So that was like our opportunity because of course there are more money coming into market and more people wanted to become creators and influencers. So
Without big agencies.
without big
controlling
agencies, yeah. There are big agencies for YouTubers like called Multi-Channel Network, MCN, but also there is more nano and micro influencers, and that was our opportunity because what we do is actually we make these operations more efficient, like as an end-to-end, so that actually influencer marketing is very, very operation heavy. You have to have like a right list of creators to sponsor, and you have to negotiate with them, and you have to ship the items, you have to collect the content and review. So, and then, you have to report. So these like very fragmented operations is very, very, very operation heavy.
And it's not efficient.
It's not efficient at all. People have to, it's very manual and, back and forth communications. So it takes like weeks and weeks. But what we do is we actually make it more efficient, like 90 times less time consuming and 70 times cost. So that we enable brands to actually market to this micro and nano influencers because operation is less. So that was actually our opportunity as a because so many people were trying to become influencers and budgets are coming into this market.
And they needed sponsoring. Right? The creators.
Yeah. And then as a byproduct, in Korea, used to be this big conglomerates were sort of monopolizing this market, like Shinsegae International, like Hansom, all these like brands that are in department store. But thanks to this social media and this like online platforms like Bushins or Double Concept, these small brands, indie brands started to pop up, right? And
they became hip and more accessible.
If you go to like Seongsu, you don't see any like big legacy brands. You see these small indie brands, right? And cosmetics as well. Olivia nowadays is really hot.
Yeah.
But back in the days, it was AG Sengon or like American Pacific that only produced this brands. But now it's just people from like I know this brand is founded by like 17 years old and it's going crazy. So it's so now marketing is become very easy because it's very accessible. Everyone can do that. You just need to sponsor this now. You just DM the influencers and then just see the product and then and people just buy, right? And we do have like great production line in Korea. For fashion is like Dongdaemun cluster, and for beauty brands is Hankook Korea Koma or like Cosmex. It's like ODM OEM companies, and we do have like this distribution channel, very good distribution channel. We just needed this marketing channel, but the influencer enabled that. So it just changed everything, right? The COVID changed everything. The landscape of beauty, like industry, or fashion industry, of course, like just any industry, right? So that was like our opportunity. And second, there's huge liquidity in the market. So the funding was really, really easy compared to nowadays. Just with an idea, like just you pitch to like, VC and you get like, $2 million or $3 million dollars.
Because it's so niche or
No, just money was just too much in the market. Because I don't know like the mechanism, but like just government was printing money and like
So you made use of it.
Yeah, we got funding very easily, and then of course like since we got funding too easy, always easy come easy go, right? So we didn't grow as capital efficient as but there was a huge opportunity for us.
Is that different now that the liquidity in the market?
Yeah, of course.
After
Yeah,
COVID?
it's really, really hard. We just talked about it. In Silicon Valley, it's not very good either. in Korea as well, the money is not very available to start if only for AI companies. But all these
Which
platform,
we all kind of have today.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All the platform companies are like, we call it like SaaS, software as a service companies, or commerce platforms that used to be hot back in the days. Now just yeah.
Yeah. So you're pending more investment, or like what kind of due diligence do you have to do to make sure that you continue to get the investment in the industry now that the market?
I don't know, AI. Yeah.
You gotta talk to that table in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AI, definitely any service, so they call it like multiple. So how much multiple do you get based on certain metrics, right?
Can you explain that?
Yeah, like I think the basic guy sure can explain more better, but like as far as I know, just MAU, or for SaaS companies like ARR, like annual recurring revenue. Based on that, like it used to be like when it went crazy during COVID, at least in Korea, the multiple went up to like times 30. So if you have like $1 billion as a revenue, yearly revenue, then it went to like 30, the valuation could go up to like 30 million, which is crazy. But now it's like 5 to 7 at maximum.
Which is not good.
Yeah, compared to back the time before, it's
Right.
really bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like in your industry, in your field, what kind of pitch do you have to make when you're trying to get the investor?
So for us, it's a platform. So we try to have. So what is your moat? Like that's like the most important, right? Like with the capital, if like Mujinsa comes in with so much capital, like how could you beat them? How could you defend? So like that's sort of like the challenges that we need to solve and convince. But for us, it's always the network effect between the creators and brands. It's people's, synergy in a way. So we say, okay, we have this very solid pool of influencers and creators that love our product, that they visit us 5 times a week. So that's like
The metrics that you use.
yes, the most important metrics, because as far as I know, there's no service in the world that has like such a stickiness among the influencers or creators. Yeah, so that's I believe that's the key metric. So we try to convince that to get higher valuations.
I see.
Yeah.
So that is using both intangible aspects of the value that you have with the networking aspect of with the content creators and the loyalty that they have, but you sort of turn it into data metrics.
Right, right.
And sort of show it.
Exactly.
That sounds difficult.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, that's fascinating. With the content creators or influencers, you keep saying back in the days, but back in the days, there used to be brands that would do like this gifting sort of mechanism when you were trying to sponsor a creator. How is it different with your brand, and what kind of efficiency do you provide by not going for the gifting mechanism, but rather borrowing and lending sort of?
Okay, so gifting, it always costs you, right? It
Yeah.
costs the price of the product.
Yeah,
Right.
actual goods going.
Yeah, yeah. But if you're renting, then there's no cost because you get it back, right?
Just make sure they're dry cleaned and everything.
Yeah, this operation cost, like delivery and like cleaning or human capital to run these operations. So that's the only cost, which is very minimal compared to the price of, because like for this indie brands, at least like if you give a coat as a gift, it's like it costs you like at least like $200. So compared to that, like this operation cost is very minimal. So that's like one of the better aspect of renting. The second, the more important one is if you rent an item, it becomes organic, which means you don't have to put this hashtag ad, hashtag 광고.
Oh, the sponsored hashtag.
Yeah, Korea is very strict in law that the 광고법, like
Advertisement.
yeah, Advertisement Act. There is a very
Recently became strict, right?
yeah
Even more strict.
yeah due to this blockchain no, not blockchain, like coin YouTubers who try to convince you to buy like this trashy like coin, and then
Yeah,
yeah, there's some
there were issues.
yeah, and Hanyang stylist. I don't know if you guys remember, like it's like 뒷광고 stuff, and
뒷광고 is when you sponsored an item, gifted it, but the influencer does not mention it
Yeah.
as advertisement
yeah,
or something
yeah,
like that,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
But there's no such law in the States or in Japan or
Right.
whatever. But in Korea, it's very, very strict somehow.
Right, because it's linked to the celebrity's sort of sense of morality
I
and
guess. I
yeah.
guess. Yeah.
So when you do the renting part, you're not under that regulation.
Yeah, because you're not giving any goods or service or monetary like
Right.
rewards.
Right, but do they still have to mention it's rented or like
They don't
no,
have to.
under the law they don't have to.
Right.
But do they mention like this item is from
No,
brand? They don't have to do
no one
it.
wants that.
No one wants that.
No brand wants that. No creators wants that.
That's interesting because I were a brand, I would want the little tag on the
Oh yeah, they put the tag,
Oh, they
but
put the
they
tag.
don't tag. They don't put the ad. But
rented.
yeah,
They don't say rented.
yeah. So yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good part of our service.
I just personally interested to know when you're renting these, like you purchase these items and then you rent them out, right? Or do you borrow that from the brands?
Yeah, the brands give us the clothes as a consignment. So they store their clothes into our warehouse for a season, so 3 months, 4 months. And then with these products, we rent out creators.
And so you have to give them back after a certain amount of time. And will they be using that for like other platforms when you give them back, or how does that
I don't know.
work?
It's
It's none of your business
Yeah,
really,
yeah.
right? When you give them back. Yeah, okay, that's interesting. I wanted to talk about the regulation part a little more. Aside from the Advertisement Act, are there any other regulatory measures in South Korea that your company and generally others in the field do not like, basically, or aware of as potential
there's like
challenges?
a 52 hours law.
So that is a sensitive issue right now, right before the election, but go on.
Yeah. It's not very sensitive because we're all very tiny. We have 25 people in the company. But yeah, I mean, I see my friend's company where I do have my friends who run like game companies, but in the game company, somehow it's very, very sensitive.
What is the time?
Yeah, the time working hours.
Yeah.
So I hear the news that someone sued the
For overwork in the gaming company.
Yeah. So it just started to worry me if I like it's like 25 people, I know all of them and we're very like close. Like I trust them, like I know we share the same vision and all that. But once it gets bigger and bigger, and for sure at some point like we will have like someone who doesn't necessarily share like 100% like the vision or like the direction.
That's what happens when startups move into small and medium-sized.
Yeah, it's like 35 people, like 40 people over. So that's when usually happens, I heard. So yeah, it doesn't really affect me at this point, but maybe like next year, maybe, yeah. So that's kind of like worrying.
Yeah. So if the 4.5 work hour week actually happens, that's going to impact your business probably.
Well, probably, yeah.
Yeah. We can touch on this topic later after June 3rd. You mentioned Japan. Congratulations on expanding to a new market. Are there anything impactfully, like significantly different between South Korean market and the Japanese market?
Yeah, that's very interesting because I thought like Japan and Korea would share like a similar behavior, at least like relatively to like US or Europe or like other like Southern Asian countries. But it's really, really different because just surprised me that in the 20s and 30s, like there are so many people who don't actually have like laptops, and it's not very digitalized.
And it's not that
Japan is not digitalized, yeah. And there's no like such platform like us, so they're very not used to use these digital like services.
Like not as well connected as South Koreans are.
As well.
Not as well connected as South Koreans are online. Because South Koreans never let go of their phones. Like, for like 1 second until they go to bed, they look at they doom scroll.
I mean, there are a lot of like influencers and YouTubers,
Yeah.
but they're not like really used to use this like kind of like services,
I
you know, online
Mm.
digital services. It's more agency driven, right? It's just like more people are like managing people.
I see.
So there's no like I know there are like a lot of B2B like SaaS like Salesforce is like huge like in Japan and like all these like big American SaaS services like they're really big in Japan, but there's not very B2C driven like platforms I feel. So people are not very accustomed to use these online services.
So how are you trying to crack it when they are not as familiar as South Koreans are with these platforms online?
So we're trying to like have this like little like paper pamphlet.
The older times,
Yeah.
paper pamphlet, you go to Tokyo and like
Yeah. We actually do that.
you actually did.
Yeah. And like every time we do like we send like our packages, like we send this pamphlet as well to
Yeah.
kind of like it's like in Korea we would do like put like a picture in our app so people see, but like people never see it, any like guidelines or anything on the like online. So everything is really physical,
Hard copies.
hard copies, and it's really hard to get. So customer acquisition cost is really, really high in Japan to make it more clear. So you have to really meet the person like in person, and then try to convince, and then right, like you probably know, like you know, when you write an email in Japanese, like you have to write, you know, oh like Jeongmin-san, it's
Like,
just really the cherry blossom is beautiful today, and all that like
you don't get straight to the point. You
Right,
talk about
right.
the weather, you talk about their family, you
Yeah.
talk about their parents, like
Yeah.
whatever.
That's a really it's a cost, right? Like just communication cost.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's really
Good to know. Yeah.
yeah, very different.
I see. But the content creator scene is similar?
Their vibe is very similar. They're, I think, I would say they're more advanced than Korean. The taste they're you know showing in their aesthetics
Yeah.
is I would say it's more developed than the Korea. Korea is more like it's very trendy, you know, like we don't
And moves quickly.
yeah, everyone goes into the, you know, if like Y2K trend is on, then everybody wears like this Y2K.
Oh yeah, last year I felt like I woke up in 1990.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Everybody looked like new jeans and
Yeah.
full skirt.
But like Japan, like just it's very diverse. The taste is just everywhere, and like some Y2K, some like you know this you know very you know cyberpunk whatever you know. So that's the difference that I find. Yeah, and people are more kind, I think. Yeah, they're more polite and kind.
I see.
Yeah.
As a South Korean, I should reflect on myself a little bit. Well, the regulations are different, like you mentioned earlier.
We never actually got into that.
Okay, you need to work on
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
Okay.
As we do the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 minutes left. Do you guys host foreign brands as well, not South Korean brands?
Oh yeah, we do have global brands. We do have like Moschino, like Kenzo, like not like luxury, but like kind of like mid luxury. But we do work with Farfetch. Used to be
Really?
foreign, but now it's Coupang, so I'll say it's a Korean platform. But mostly yeah, Korean like local brands. Mostly this indie brands that are rising.
I see.
Yeah.
When you are hosting foreign brands, are there any like friction points when you're trying to link them with local like South Korean creators? Like, do they usually work well together?
Oh, not really, but they do understand, like thanks to like this K-pop and all that, like they understand the Korean aesthetics more. So I didn't have much, like they would prefer to have this Korean niche in our marketing direction. So yeah, there's not like major problem.
I see.
Yeah.
Like the way they communicate or anything, like there's not much conflict. Like
We have like a AI, we have GPT, so no, actually like so no one in our team speaks Japanese, but we have almost zero problems like doing business in Japan thanks to like GPT. So I think AI really enabled us it became really easy because like not only language, but also sort of like the nuance that you have. But
Yeah.
you know, so this kind
like
of
Perry Blossom stuff in the email that you have.
yeah, GPT is perfect.
Ask GPT to be like very polite Japanese or style. Yeah.
Yeah, so zero friction.
Are you looking at any other potential markets outside Japan and South Korea?
Yeah, we want to go to the States next year. K-beauty or K-food is really crazy in the States. So yeah, it's definitely a land of opportunities and yeah.
Two last questions from me before I open questions to the floor. We did our pre-event call, and you mentioned that you try to diversify your team a little bit. Did that work well, or were there any challenges that you faced, or what was the motivation that you wanted to diversify the team?
So I think diversity is really, really important because I think our job as like any startup job is to really break the legacy and then create this new alpha. So in order to do that, I think you have to really hack the system and just think differently, right? But if you have this homogeneous group of people, I just found impossible. I mean, yeah, impossible to have this like, the diverse ideas. Discussion becomes very efficient, but like very too like straightforward. And
Not thinking outside the box, right?
right. And that's not, what we have to do. We're not trying to be efficient. We try to be different, right? So diversity is really, really important. So I try to have like as diverse as possible in terms of like background or race, like gender, or like everything. So for that purpose, we try to really hire also foreigners. But it was really, really hard because we do have like people who speak English pretty well, but most of the people in the company didn't speak English that well and didn't really experience this culture. So
You mean like multinational
right.
work environment?
Right. So working with them, it's like having them in together within the same meeting room, it was too hard to keep the discussion going forward. So what we try to do is we found a solution. Oh, I mean, of course, we had like a very AI kind of enabled us. It made it really easier. We have like Slack AI that translates every single messages into the language that you prefer. That was like huge, I think, feature that enabled us to have like better communications. But yeah, what we finally had to do is we had to kind of have a team of more this diverse culture friendly people within the same team and then have a specific like function within the team. Yeah, and I think that's kind of worked. And then they work remote. So because in-person communications there's like a problem, but like
Because you cannot have a whole pop-up all the time.
Right. But communication through the Slack or through emails or through, I don't know, work, other means of communication was relatively easier. So now it's working. So we have a Taiwanese guy in our team and the Italian girl. So yeah, it's working pretty well.
That's interesting because a lot of, the concession that companies who are trying to go global sort of make is they try to hire people who speak the language, and that actually comes with a risk of finding people who are not completely like fully the best fit for the company's mission, but still speak the language. So you moved away from that, focus more on their competence and the suitability.
Right.
Yeah, that's fascinating. My last question for you, you mentioned your Y Combinator 2022 badge. Not many South Koreans actually know that. But that's basically what South Korea might be missing, actually, South Korean ecosystem in helping out young startups. What kind of measures that are needed, do you think, in South Korea to help the growing or starting startups in South Korea?
I think Y Combinator really symbolizes like
it's like a school, right?
Yeah, it's a school, but the founder of Y Combinator is Paul Graham. He's like he's a writer. He's not like a VC guy. So he's like the one who created this Silicon Valley with this thoughts and writing about what sort of like this philosophy is like in Silicon Valley. This, just typical American, pioneering and it's okay to fail, right? Think different, right? But I think, so we were invested by American VCs and like Korean VCs at the same time. But what I feel is Korean VCs they're good, but like they're very supportive, like helping, but they're very risk averse, which is contrary to what VCs ought to be, right?
Especially with startups.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're going for a specific theme and specific like way of working because it succeeded before, it must succeed next time. But I think that's due to sort of like too much like government subsidies into
Mhm.
spaces. Like a lot of government bodies are actually LPs of this venture capital.
Yeah.
So it's very government, like if you see this ecosystem, it's very government driven still. These big conglomerates, government bodies, like they are LPs, they're the main sponsors of GPs, Korean GPs. So they're like dictating a theme. Oh, you guys should put this amount of money into this theme, and you should invest in this kind of people, right?
Yeah.
So that kind of like I think harmed the autonomy of venture capitalists and thus the autonomy of founders, right? And diversity. So it's just very different.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for tuning in.
If you want to know more, sign up for our daily executive briefings. We'll brief you on all you need to know from the past 24 hours and why it matters, delivered to your inbox every morning.
If you want to stay ahead of the curve, sign up for Korea Pro to get a full package of insights, from daily expert analysis to profiles, month in review, week ahead, and more.
And until next time, I'm Jeongmin Kim.
I'm Joon Ha Park.
And I'm John Lee, and we'll see you next time on the Korea Pro Podcast.